Hello there. Thanks for joining me today. Today, we're going to talk about how one choice can change everything in your life. I want to introduce how having an accountable versus a victim mindset is very powerful. I also want to share how we can gain control over our mindset and our emotional state in these uncertain times we're living in. Do you think that today more people are living above or below the line? Are they living accountable or as a victim? So let's start by explaining the difference from my life experience of what I view accountable versus a victim mindset is. So in life, shit happens. We're in a moment, and that moment itself, as Happy Gilmore would say, life happens. At that moment, do we start to seek what the truth is, to seek reality, and ask the question, what's happening? And if we do that, we begin the journey of above the line mindset. And that then goes, okay, this is what it is. And I can acknowledge this as a reality or as truth in the moment because I've asked some questions about it. I'm seeking that truth. That will then lead to a place where, okay, I see this and I'm going to own it. And that's when I say, okay, if it's going to be, it's up to me. And I take full accountability. Now I got to get into finding that solution. What is the solution to the problem? Whether it's a positive moment or a negative moment, we're always looking for solutions to empower us to get the results that we're looking for. So that leads to, what can I do? What's that outcome that I'm looking for? And what can I do about it? Again, an accountable statement that if it's going to be, it's up to me. And then the last thing that an accountable person will do when they're right at the top of their game is they're going to say, okay, let's do it. Let's get on with it. Let's pull the team together. Let's start to take action and create those routines or the processes that are required to deliver the results that we're looking for. So if that's an accountable person from my experience, then let's talk about what happens in the same circumstance if they are below the line and a mindset that's more of a victim mindset. Well, first, they're rarely going to ask any questions. They're going to do everything they can to try to avoid the reality that they're in. Statements like, that's not how I see it, are the beginning of that fight against the reality. The next step of falling into that abyss of victimhood is that blame shows up. And I start to say, well, it's not my fault. And I start pointing fingers, forgetting the other three that are pointing right back at me. Then my excuses and my justifications begin. And a statement like, it's not my job. That's John's responsibility. Or lastly, you're in full victim mode, at least for me, when I go, if it's meant to be, it'll happen. That's despair. That's me giving away my hope, my power of choice. I've abdicated. I haven't delegated. I haven't made a decision. So, how would you assess yourself? I know for me, I unfortunately do live below the line, but I also live above the line. But let's really get into talking and explaining about what impacts our emotions and the meanings we put on things in life and how we can use this information to help us manage our mindset and our emotions so we are more equipped to live accountably and above the line. And this doesn't matter if you're living with a chronic disease like I am, diabetes, as a type 1 diabetic for almost 30 years. I better darn well be accountable for my health, or else I have no control of improving my health. Or as an entrepreneur and having run over a dozen businesses for over 30 years, how do I lead if I'm not willing to be accountable? Because ultimately, a good leader is one that serves, that asks questions, that seeks to find out what is the truth versus pointing a finger, Why? These are circle questions. So let's talk about the triad and the three things that are the molders of our emotional state. So the first one is focus. These are the things that you focus on. You may have heard, where focus goes, energy flows. Another aspect or meaning of focus is it's the meaning, it's the belief that we put on something that impacts our emotion. And ultimately, the truth is, as an accountable person, I'm the one that chooses the meaning. I choose the focus. I can't be blaming other people for that. So the second molder of my emotions is my physiology. Physiology is how we sit, how we walk, stand. What type of actions are we doing at the time? Are we with confidence, standing there with our shoulders back, our chest out, taking deep breaths and clearly speaking and looking at our people that we're talking to? Or is our head down, our shoulders slumped, our breathing becomes shallow, and our energy just disappears? And a feeling of being pulled down comes into our life. Just try it right now. Roll your shoulders back. Stick your chest out a little bit and take a breath. How do you feel? For me, it's like a trigger. It just empowers me, makes me realize that I can stand. The third molder of our emotions is our language. The words we use actually show the content of our heart. Because if you're happy, grateful, glad about something, are your phrases starting with, you shouldn't have done this, you should, or is it, we did this is exciting, I'm so happy? The language, what goes after the words, I am, are critical and something you should really consider, be curious about, because it's showing your self-belief. It shows my self-belief. I am confident. I am an uncommon diabetic. I am healthy. I have energy, health. I have performance. Or is it, I'm stupid. I forgot that again. I'm so tired. These are self-prophesizing incantations that are coming out of our mouth. Incantation is actually a spell. We put a spell on ourselves. So be careful. The way we speak, intentionally or unintentionally, impacts us internally and externally. And what you're going to understand about our emotional state is the invisible. All of these things are really invisible, other than how we are physiologically exhibiting. But the choices that are being made are all invisible. And the invisible things in life control the visible. So I want to sort of wrap this up with a simple definition. If we want to be above the line and we've been living below the line, we need to remember that if we do what we've always done, we're going to get what we've always got. So we, at any moment, can change our emotional state. We can change everything in our life and in that moment and how life is happening for us instead of to us by just remembering the definition of insanity. And that's continuing to do the same thing repeatedly while expecting a different result. We need to change one thing. If it's the simplest thing for me, when I'm tired and fatigued, I literally go back to my training days when I was in the police and be, stone, drop, give me 20. And I would chuckle, but it just pumps you up. Do 10 jumping jacks, go for a short walk, roll your shoulders back, do a minute of breathing, and watch how your emotional state changes in a snap. Ask yourself about the meanings that you have, because we only need to change one of these three molders of emotion to be able to transform our state. And this alone will be a contributing factor to whether we are able to make the personal and professional life choices from an accountable, above the line mindset, or a victim, below the line mindset and attitude. And in my life experience, my attitude directly drives my altitude. So I got 3 questions for you. How does your focus and the meanings you put on things when you're having a conversation with your wife, your children, your boss, a customer, any moment in time when life's happening, what's your focus? Just ask that question. What am I focusing on? Am I focusing on the 1% that's negative or the 99% that I can be grateful for? 2, how does our physiology impact my emotions? Well, my encouragement to you is drop and give yourself 20. Stand up, move your body. Your muscles are the charging systems of your body. It creates energy. Sit back, roll your shoulders, take a deep breath, and take a minute to just breathe. It'll change your state like that. And of course, the last thing, how does your language impact you and the people around you, personally, professionally? What if you started to look at the positives, the effective communication of what someone is doing that's great in that moment versus the 1 or 2 things that they could have done better? What I know is that an attitude of gratitude will transform 1 or all of your moulders of your emotional state. So guys, all I got to share today is that step forward. Do not be afraid to fear. Do not fear is what I'm saying. Don't let that false evidence appear real in the circumstances you're in. Ask these simple questions. Pick 1 thing. Change that. You'll change everything. So I really hope this has been helpful to you, as it definitely has been to me when I become aware I'm in control of my mindset. I now have certainty that I can impact people with a positive emotions, and I can control my state to improve my energy, my health, and my performance in any circumstance. If it's going to be, it's up to me. I'd love to encourage you to just try it. As Mike used to say, I think you'll like it. And if you're able to manage that 1 change, the impact on your state will be significant. And in time, you'll actually be able to manage 2 and all 3 of them to transform your life from being in victim mode in a snap to being in accountable mode. So if you like what we talked about today, remember to click the subscribe button and bell so you just don't miss any episodes of UDTV. And I also want to invite you to journey with me to build your uncommon diabetic foundations of health. Together we can create a map. That's what I call a massive action plan to build the foundations that will improve your energy, your health, and your performance. If you're a leader and you're looking for a mentor that has walked the road before you, start now. Just click the link below, book a free strategy session with myself, and we'll see if this is a good fit for you. I really want to thank you for joining us. And until next week, be uncommon. Just change 1 thing.